Dr. Robert Malone, specialist mRNA technology, one of the forefathers of that tech that actually created the vaccines. He was censored on Twitter. Another one, Jay Bhattacharya, Stanford, professor of health economics and medicine. He was censored on Twitter through information that might have come from some area of our federal government. I think it's important for the members to understand that this bill is very clear. Let's go to the actual text. It does prohibit any employee from not using the employee's official authority to censor any private party, including outside of normal duty hours, and while such employee is away from the employee's normal duty posts. And then we go to all the elements of that. We cannot have elements of our government using the power of their offices to push narratives or to censor narratives amongst the American people that the American people of their own volition choose to do with their own mind, their own thought, their own reason, their own logic, their own information set, whatever the case might be. We cannot allow for that. It is wrong. It is censorship. It is a violation of the First Amendment, and that is what H.R. 140 seeks to address. I think it's something where we're going to have rampant debate about it, but this is bigger than RD. It's bigger than who's sitting in the White House. This is the very nature of public debate amongst the American people. We should never tolerate medical professionals being silenced. Never, regardless of their views. We should never tolerate one newspaper being silenced in regards to another newspaper's point of view when they're all members of the press. Let the American people decide these things through dialogue, through debate. That is in the public's interest. And that is why, in my view, members, and I know we're going to go through amendments, and it's going to be a pretty long markup, as I can see already, we should be in support of H.R. 140. I yield.
Will the gentleman yield for a question over here?
Sure.
Those doctors that you reference who you say were censored, was that done because of government intervention, or was that done by the private social media companies?
Well, I'm glad that the gentleman raised that question, because one of the things that the Twitter files already suggested, and this is with respect to the Hunter Biden story, is that FBI was in constant contact with Twitter through that entire saga. The Twitter executives can say whatever they want about how, well, we made the final decision. And of course, in all likelihood, they made the final decision. But it is crystal clear that there were elements of the federal government that were in Twitter's ear. That's not even something that's under conjecture. We see the email chains. The contact existed. Twitter executives talked about that amongst themselves within the operations of the company. That has continued under the current administration with respect to COVID-19 from CDC and other elements of the government, HHS. So if you're going to say that Twitter was taking information from FBI during the Hunter Biden situation with his laptop, it's only common sense to assume that CDC was also using that position to basically push their narratives into Twitter, which led to the silencing of Jay Bhattacharya, of Robert Malone, of, I believe, Marty McCary was silenced as well, etc. I think for the purpose of H.R. 140, what we should be discussing is whether it is acceptable for elements of our government to be using their position to push narratives or to silence dissent or to silence opposing views. Whether that's a medical professional with the criteria and the qualifications of Jay Bhattacharya, or whether it's the ranking member himself, or whether it's me or any other citizen of the United States. If you're gonna have the platform available for public use, which is the very basis of Twitter, Facebook, and all the rest of them, they want the users, they want people in there. Of course, they sell ads and they use them. I get all that. But if it's going to become the public square, which is what it has become, the federal government must, and I stress must, be very, very hands-off with respect to manipulating, censoring, positioning viewpoints of the American people on these platforms.